A recent survey of local companies reveals a major new concern among German company bosses. Many fear that the ambitious climate protection plans of German and European politics will damage their businesses. Concerns about a disorderly Brexit have almost disappeared in the German economy. This is shown by the current study Europe 2020. The view of German companies by the consulting company EY, the German Society for Foreign Policy, the DGAP, and the Wuppertal Institute, for which 400 German companies with more than 250 employees each were surveyed. Only 8% of the participants described the realistic farewell to chaos with the end of the transition period at the end of the year as one of the most pressing problems in Europe. For comparison, a year ago, almost 40% saw this as one of the greatest challenges for the European Union. Instead, the focus is now on health policy. From the perspective of German companies, coping with the corona pandemic is currently the greatest challenge facing the EU, the study says. This is followed by concerns about the lack of cohesion among EU member states and the challenges in economic and monetary union. Above all, environmental and climate policy has grown in importance. Here the number of mentions has almost tripled compared to the previous year to 27%. In view of the enormous economic damage that the pandemic has already caused and will probably still cause, the paramount importance of crisis management is hardly surprising, especially since Europe often lacks a uniform line in combating the crisis, says Manfred Fischerdick, Managing Director of Wuppertal Institute. What is really remarkable, however, is the significant increase in importance that climate policy has experienced in recent months. Climate change and the possibilities of limiting not only it, but also it, has now become a central field of actions for companies, observes Fischerdick. The reason for the new perception is probably the Green Deal, that means the EU's climate protection offensive. The economy has very well noticed that the European Commission has presented an ambitious program with the European Green Deal, notes Daniela Schwarzer, DGAP Director. The ever stricter regulation in this area is likely to have contributed to the fact that the topic has become enormously relevant from the point of view of business and that companies are concerned with how they can meet the challenges. The worries are great. It's becoming increasingly clear that a complete restructuring of industry, energy supply, transport and agriculture is necessary and that politicians are increasingly willing to take far-reaching measures to drive this restructuring forward, says Bernhard Lorenz, Managing Partner Markets at EY. The companies are preparing for the fact that further political decisions are to be expected here in the future. And many companies see themselves threatened as a result. At least 23% of those surveyed expect disadvantages for their own business, above all from the manufacturing sector. The main focus is on China. After all, 44% of those surveyed see Europe's position vis-à-vis the People's Republic weakened by the restructuring of the economy towards climate neutrality. Conversely, 37% hope for an advantage. The values are practically opposite with regard to the USA. 33% expect a weakening of competition there. 45% in turn see the EU as having an advantage over America following the desired decarbonization of industry. Along the way, the economy is demanding more political support for innovations and the implementation of climate protection measures. The companies consider subsidy programs, for example, for the conversion of productions, to be much more sensible and effective than fines or high CO2 prices. After all, 51% advocate such incentive systems, 33% see high CO2 prices as the means of choice, and 11% are in favor of fines. There's approval, however, for a CO2 border tax, which should curb emigration to non-European countries and contribute to global awareness and processing of the problem. But the EU also advocates greater support for renewable energies as key technologies for climate protection. At the same time, the reconstruction is to be used to rebuild the economy. In any case, a large majority of managers are in favor of European reconstruction funds aiming at a more investment in climate protection. The economic recovery that will follow the corona pandemic should be made as sustainable as possible. Promote innovation and accelerate the necessary transformation processes, said EY representative Lorenz, summarizing the results. Especially since many are still skeptical whether the EU can otherwise achieve the goals. In any case, many managers are currently doubting whether the European Commission's goal of achieving greenhouse gas neutrality by 2050 can actually be implemented. As of now, only 46% consider this target to be realistic. Obviously, a lot of persuasion still needs to be done here, ideally through positive examples, which not at least come from the companies themselves, said Professor Fischedick from the Wuppertal Institute. And during the video you've seen the links to my other platforms here. Come visit me there. I'll see you in my next video. Viel Spaß!